Hello and welcome. This is ASO TV News. I am Tina Oje Achu. The headlines. President Tinubu directs rollout of additional 500 CNG stations. FCT administration, FRSC begins enforcement against traffic violations in Abuja. Police bust alleged organ harvesting syndicate, arrest 4 suspects. China's imports from Nigeria rises to 81%. And now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has directed the rollout of an additional 500 compressed natural gas refueling stations nationwide as part of effort to reduce transportation costs following the removal of the petrol subsidy. He said the federal government and the governors had agreed to establish a joint committee to begin implementing measures aimed at reducing transport costs. He said from October 1st, the goal of his administration is that Nigerians begin to partake in those savings through lower transport fares. The president noted that interstate transportation is where Nigerians experienced the impact of high transport costs most directly, adding that state governments were therefore central to delivering relief to commuters. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has commenced a sustained enforcement operation against traffic violations across Abuja. The exercise, being conducted in collaboration with the Federal Road Safety Corps and other security agencies, targets offences including traffic lights violations, driving against traffic, roads violations, and indiscriminate parking. Usman Katun Umar tells us more.
The FCTA says the joint enforcement is aimed at restoring sanity to Abuja's roads and improving the safety and free movement of motorists and other road users. Mandate Secretary Transportation Secretariat Chinedu Melechi says a special task force will patrol strategic locations, arrest offenders, and ensure that those found violating traffic regulations face appropriate sanctions.
Offenders apprehended will face appropriate sanctions under extant laws, including mandatory medical and psychological evaluation in line with the regulations of the National Road Traffic Regulations 2012 and the sister regulation, because the FCT also has the FCT Road Traffic Regulations 2023.
The enforcement follows what the FCTA describes as increasing disregard for traffic regulations, particularly with the expansion of the capital's road network under the administration's urban renewal program. Authorities say major targets include running traffic lights, driving against traffic, using restricted routes, illegal parking at junctions, under bridges and pedestrian crossings. FRSC FCT Sector Commander Co-Commander Tijani Ilyasu says excessive overloading, route violations, and dangerous driving are contributing to congestion and putting lives and property at risk. He says offenders involved in the applicable offences may also undergo prescribed medical and psychological evaluation before prosecution in line with the National Road Traffic Regulations. The FCTA Security Services Department, on their part, say the exercise also has a security dimension as unauthorized routes and loading points used by some commercial transport operators could create security risks. The department says the Nigeria Police Force, Department of State Services, and other relevant agencies will support the enforcement to ensure compliance with the law.
This measure is intended to address dangerous driving behavior, promote responsive road use, and protect lives and properties. It is not designed to harass or intimidate members of public. Traffic regulations are established primarily to protect life and properties, and compliance is the responsibility of every road user.
And there's no way in any city, in any nation, that you talk about better security without having an annexure with a good transportation system. And that is why we are here today.
The authorities have urged motorists and commercial transport operators to obey traffic lights and road signs, use designated routes and loading points, avoid overloading, and refrain from indiscriminate parking. The joint operation is expected to continue at strategic locations across the Federal Capital Territory. Usman Katun Umar, ASO Television News.
The Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barrow Jibrin, has called on the people of Kano North Senatorial District to remain united and steadfast in their support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf and the All Progressives Congress senators Jibrin made a call when he received 2 delegations from Dambata local government area of Kano State Senatorial District in his office in Abuja. The first delegation, led by Alhaji Hafiz Sani Madaji, a former 3-term member of the Kano State House. In a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Ismail Madashi Barrow commended Madaji for demonstrating political maturity following the outcome of the primary election. After initially challenging the outcome in court, Madaji accepted Barrow's appeal to withdraw the case and recommitted himself to working within the APC for the advancement of the senatorial districts. The second delegation was led by Barrow's senior legislative aide in Dambata, Alhaji Abdullahi Dan Bayero. The group visited to appreciate the Deputy President of the Senate for the various project empowerment initiatives and other interventions being implemented across Kano North Senatorial District. Barrow assured the people of Dambata and Kano North that his commitment to their development would remain unwavering. A forum of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu chief executive officers has called for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu in 2027, saying continuity is needed to consolidate the gains of his administration's reforms. The convener of the forum and Director General of the National Board for Technology Incubation, Dr. Kasim Raji, made a call at the maiden meeting of the group in Abuja. Dr. Raji described President Tinubu as a courageous reformer who has taken difficult decisions to address some of Nigeria's long-standing economic challenges. He listed foreign exchange reforms, fiscal and tax reforms, power sector reforms, infrastructure development around the country as selling achievements to re-elect President Bola Tinubu in 2027.
History will remember President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a leader who had the courage to confront frontally difficult and deeply entrenched structural challenges rather than postponing them for the generation yet unborn. From the onset of his administration, Mr. President demonstrated uncommon political courage by undertaking difficult but necessary reforms, including the removal of fuel subsidy, the unification of foreign exchange markets, far-reaching fiscal and tax reforms, reforms in the power sector, strengthening of development finance, expansion of infrastructure, and renewed efforts to attract domestic and international investments.
He urged heads of federal government agencies to take ownership of their achievements by delivering results, documenting their impacts, and communicating them effectively to Nigerians.
Therefore, recognize that our performance is part of Mr. President's scorecard, and our successes are part of the administration story. Consequently, we must not only deliver, we must communicate, document, amplify, and properly position the achievements of our respective institutions. The Nigerian people deserve to know what government is doing.
He also called on members to mobilize support ahead of the 2027 election through lawful, peaceful, ethical, and issue-based engagement. The Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa, has called on the National Association of Nigerian Students and other student leaders to mobilize 10 million student vote for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu ahead of the 2027 general elections. Dr. Alausa made a call in Abuja when the leadership of NANS and other students associations visited him as part of the effort to strengthen engagement between the government and the student community. The minister said Nigerian students had a direct stake in the 2027 election, arguing that the continuity of the Tinubu administration would be important to sustaining ongoing reforms in education. He assured students that the monthly upkeep allowance under NELFON would continue, adding that President Tinubu had approved additional funding sources to strengthen the sustainability of the scheme. Earlier, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Student Engagement, Comrade Sunday Asefon, said the visit was aimed at strengthening communication between the Presidency, Ministry of Education, and student organizations. The NANS President, Comrade Babatunde Afeez Akinteye, commended the government's intervention, particularly NELFON and TVET, saying the student loan scheme had provided relief for many beneficiaries. The National Orientation Agency has taken its campaign against drug abuse, gender-based violence, and violation of human rights to Mabushi community in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The sensitization program was held at the palace of the Hakimi Mabushi, His Royal Highness Hassan Dangana Mabushi. It was organized by NOA's Department of Abuse, Rights and Narcotics in collaboration with the NOA FCT Directorate, OCI Foundation, and Gender Mobile Initiative. Representing the Director General of NOA, Malam Larry Isao Nilu, the Director of Abuse, Rights and Narcotics Department, Acharu Okpalua, urged residents to speak out whenever their rights are violated, but cautioned against resorting to self-help. She condemned domestic violence and bullying in schools and homes, noting that beating a spouse under the guise of correction constitutes abuse. She further called for support for victims of rejection or neglect. The FCT Director of NOA, Princess Egbe, described traditional institutions as custodians of values. She called for stronger collaboration with parents, schools, and youth groups to protect young people from drug abuse. The district head of Mabushi, Hassan Dangana Mabushi, commended NOA for bringing the campaign to the community. He called for collective action by government, parents, and youth to address the growing challenge of drug abuse. The program ended with participants calling for sustained collaboration among stakeholders to protect young people and provide a responsible, value-driven society in Nigeria. You're watching ASO Television News. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 392, also on StarTimes TV channel 127 and Free TV channel 507. We are also on the UHF band on channel 38. Still to come, police busts alleged organ harvesting syndicate, arrest 4 suspects. Stay with us for details of these and more stories.
In Biggie's house, there's no place to hide. And even when you think no one is watching, the energy can swing in an instant. This BB Naija Season 11. Everything burns brighter. Only the biggest moves tip the scale. Because nothing is given. But everything is for the taking when the world watches. Will you be outshined, or will you step up and take the spotlight? Big Brother Naija Season 11, showing 24/7 on DSTV channel 198 and GoTV channel 49. Headline sponsor, Bet Power.
Many thanks for staying with us. The Nigeria Police Force, through the Force Intelligence Department Special Tactical Squad, says it has arrested 4 suspects in connection with an alleged criminal conspiracy, human trafficking, and illegal organ harvesting syndicates. Force spokesman CSP Anite Nyedu, who disclosed these during a briefing on Thursday, identified the suspect as 23-year-old Emmanuel Ode, 48-year-old Dr. Benjamin Oyime, a nephrologist from Edo State, 53-year-old Dr. Daniel Otukpa, also a nephrologist from Benue State, and 25-year-old David Idoko.
During interrogation, Emmanuel Ode confessed to recruiting victims under false pretenses he stated that on the 24th of April 2026, he lured one Samuel Ezekiel M, 22 years, to where his kidney was allegedly harvested for the sum of $1,250, which is the equivalent of 1.7 million naira only. The second victim, one David Idoko, male, alleged that he was lured by the same agent in 2022 to a hospital where his kidney was harvested and he was paid the sum of 7 million naira only. Preliminary investigation indicates that the suspects and their accomplices allegedly target vulnerable and uneducated young men in Nasarawa State and its environs, exploiting their financial desperation to obtain consent for illegal organ harvesting. Evidence gathered so far indicates that the suspect forged official documents such as the victims' names, NIN, birth certificates, age declaration, and affidavits and consent letters to facilitate these criminal activities.
The latest development comes barely 24 hours after the FCT Police Command debunked viral reports alleging that young people in Yanya have been selling their kidneys for money and that an agent in Maraba is buying human kidneys. A non-governmental organization has urged youths and other residents in the Federal Capital Territory to embrace skill acquisition in order to promote self-reliance. One of the facilitators, Vanessa Christopher, who made a call while speaking on the forthcoming FCT Search Summit to hold on the 29th of August 2026, said the initiative is designed to create opportunities for participants to acquire practical and relevant skills that can improve their livelihoods. Balumi Adeyemi tells us more.
One of the facilitators, Vanessa Christopher, explained that the program will focus on empowering people across different age groups, particularly youth and elderly residents, by equipping them with skills that could help them become economically productive. The facilitator encouraged residents across the FCT to take advantage of the summit, describing it as an opportunity to learn new skills, develop talents, and gain knowledge that could contribute to personal and economic growth.
Good morning. I am Vanessa Christopher Elijah, one of your facilitators for our upcoming program this Saturday, titled Abuja FCT Uprise. It is a transforming life program that will help you to reshape your mind, move you from your financial instability to a more sustainable position. So are you that person that needs that opportunity? Why not come? I'm inviting you specially to be with us at Green Miles Hotel, Utako, Abuja, this Saturday, 29th of August. The time is 11 a.m. Hope to see you there.
She also stressed the importance of skills acquisition in addressing unemployment and creating sustainable opportunities for individuals and families. Vanessa Christopher called on interested residents to participate actively in the summit and make use of the opportunities provided by the program. The FCT Upsurge Summit is expected to bring together residents and stakeholders committed to promoting empowerment, skills development, and economic inclusion in the Federal Capital Territory. Balumi Adeyemi, ASO Television News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has commenced a nationwide training program for its counsellors to standardize operational protocols and strengthen clinical competencies in line with global best practices in drug demand reduction. The training, which began at the NDLEA Academy in Jos Plateau State, is being coordinated by the Directorate of Counseling, Treatment and Rehabilitation and has brought together more than 100 counselors from the agency's formations across the country. Speaking at the commencement of Phase 1, NDLEA Chairman Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, retired, represented by the Director of Counseling, Treatment and Rehabilitation, Bashir Ibrahim, said the exercise would revitalize staff morale and equip counselors with modern therapeutic tools. Marwa said the training would harmonize rehabilitation practices across state commands, improve clinical responses to emerging proactive substances, and co-occurring mental health disorders, and strengthen ethics, confidentiality, data management, and quality assurance in treatment services. He assured that the agency would continue to invest in personal development and entrench global best practices in its drug demand reduction efforts, noting that the initiative would improve the quality of care in NDLEA rehabilitation facilities and strengthen Nigeria's drug treatment and rehabilitation system. Nigeria's exports to China have surged by more than 200%, reflecting the deepening economic ties between both countries. As they mark 55 years of diplomatic relations, food, culture, and tourism are also opening new opportunities to strengthen people-to-people connections. These were among the key highlights of the Nigeria-China Food Festival, organized in partnership with the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism at the Chinese Cultural Center in Abuja. Joy Annie reports.
Traditions, culture, and culinary experiences are bringing nations closer, fostering friendship and stronger people-to-people ties. The Nigeria-China Food Festival was a platform for both countries to showcase their rich culinary and cultural heritage. Speaking at the event, Chargé d'Affaires of the Chinese Embassy in Nigeria, Ambassador Zhou Haiyong, highlighted the growing economic ties between both countries. He called for the swift implementation of early harvest arrangement to benefit Nigeria and China, while reaffirming China's commitment to cultural exchange and shared development under the FOCAC framework.
Under the strategic guidelines of the President Xi Jinping and President Tinubu, our comprehensive strategic partnership has gained stronger momentum onto a fast track of high-quality development. Taking economic and trade cooperation, just for instance, in the first half of this year, China imported almost 2.3 billion worth of goods from Nigeria, and this almost 80% increase compared to the same period last year.
The Ministry of Art, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy said food goes beyond nourishment, creating opportunities for chefs, food entrepreneurs, creatives and hospitality businesses to exchange knowledge, access new markets and create jobs.
Of art, culture, tourism and creative economy, recognizing the enormous potentials of these sectors to drive economic growth, create jobs, and strengthen Nigeria's global influence. Since its establishment in 2024,
the Director General of the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, Arif Fagade, urged stakeholders to develop Nigeria's rich culinary heritage into a globally recognized food tourism industry.
Let us use food to build bridges, culture to deepen friendships, tourism to create opportunity for our people.
The festival featured 14 Chinese dishes from 7 geopolitical regions and 12 Nigerian dishes representing the country's 6 geopolitical zones, alongside music, traditional performances and cultural exhibition. Joy Annie, ASO Television News.
The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to creating an aviation environment that supports legitimate investment, promotes connectivity, and encourages international airlines to deepen their operations in Nigeria. These follows plans by the Lufthansa Group to expand its operations in Nigeria with the proposed introduction of Eurowings into the Nigerian market next year. The development was disclosed when a Lufthansa Group delegation met with the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development in Abuja, where both sides also discussed the review and ratification of the bilateral air services agreement between Nigeria and Germany, signed in 2012. Speaking on behalf of the delegation, Zezenji said the BASA need to be updated to reflect current realities in the aviation relationship between both countries, and also commended ongoing reforms in Nigeria's aviation sector, including the country's implementation of the Cape Town Convention. Keyamo welcomed the planned expansion, assuring the federal government's commitment to creating an environment that supports investment, strengthens international air connectivity, and deepens Nigeria aviation relations with Germany. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority has signed a memorandum of understanding with Firstway and Global Software and Digital Solution for the implementation of the Pre-Loading Advanced Cargo Information Framework in Nigeria. The initiative, which will initially focus on inbound air cargo, is aimed at strengthening aviation security and improving the integrity of Nigeria's air cargo supply chain in line with international standards. Speaking at the signing ceremony in Abuja, NCAA Director General Captain Chris Najamo described the agreement as a major step towards building a safer and more secure air cargo system. The authority's Director of Legal Services, Mary Tufano Eche, said the agreement followed months of careful negotiations and provides a framework that can be reviewed and amended as implementation progresses. The partners express commitment to the successful deployment of the PLACI system and its contribution to Nigeria's aviation security architecture. The federal government has called for greater attention by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation to Africa's security and development challenges, as well as the situation in Palestine. Speaking at the 23rd extraordinary session of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers in Jeddah, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Shola Enikanolayi, reaffirmed Nigeria's support for Palestinian self-determination and urged stronger OIC-Africa cooperation in peace, security, trade, investment, and humanitarian assistance. A statement signed by Elisho Richard, Special Assistant, Media and Strategic Communication, Office of the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, said the minister also held bilateral talks with Saudi and Sierra Leonean officials. He said the meeting was focused on trade, investment, security, regional cooperation, and the welfare of Nigerian pilgrims. He further called for deeper business partnerships for both countries. A church service has been organized in honor of the late Professor of Law, Cordelia Wobo Egu. Professor Cordelia died as a Dean Faculty of Law, Bingham University, Cairo. Topsy Gimba has the details.
Professor Cordelia Uwogbo Egu died on the 2nd of August 2026. She was the Dean Faculty of Law, Bingham University, Cairo, near Abuja. She was also a visiting professor to the Merwa International University, Abuja. Professor Cordelia Uwogbo Egu was the past Assistant District Governor 9127 Rotary International. Her elder sister, Dame Dr. Joy Okoro, a former FCT Water Board manager, the immediate past District Governor 9127 Rotary International, described her late younger sister, late Professor Cordelia Uwogbo Egu, as a close confidant.
She's someone that does not like trouble. If there's any problem, she gives way. She's always for peace. And being a Rotarian is not a mistake. It's just what Rotary portrays. Give to the less privileged. Care for others. No matter how much you have, try to impact on somebody. And she did that wonderfully well. Her club are even testifying.
The Vice Chancellor, Bingham University, Cairo, Professor Haruna Ayuba, who led the university community delegation, described Professor Cordelia as a hard-working dean, and the university will miss her dearly.
Yes, so she has been a very meticulous, very hard-working, very committed staff of the university. And so it was quite shocking to hear the news of her demise. And so we are here representing the university delegation. I came with the registrar, the deputy dean of the faculty, as well as other staff to commiserate with the family.
Also, the director, NAPTIP, Dr. Dem Ebele Ulasi, a sister to the late Professor Cordelia Uwogbo Egu, described her as an embodiment of knowledge.
Again, that we humans that are still alive should just use this opportunity to go into sober reflection about this life. You know, because we forget so easily, except when things like this happen. We need to reevaluate our lives. We need to start correcting some of the things we are not doing well. Because this journey of life, we do not know, when it's going to come to an end.
Others who mourn her were the past district secretary, Rotary International, Rotary Ukeria Okeozo, and also the first son of late Professor Cordelia, Mr. Anthony Odensi.
We have been family friends. When I met her, a very simple and easygoing person, a selfless humanitarian in the Rotary family. Even as a professor, as a dean, you wouldn't know.
You've lost a part of you, and that's how to remain for the rest of my life. I've lost not just a mother, I lost an advisor, I lost a confidant, I lost the strength, the backbone of our family.
The exhortation was delivered by Lady Nwachuku at St. James Anglican Communion, Asokoro. Topsy Gimba for ASO Television News.
And that's the bulletin. I am Tina Oje Achu. Thanks for watching.